All right. Hey, how's it
Hi.
going?
Doing really well. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. So watching episode two, Kenny goes through a really lot. There are a lot of really big moments. So I was wondering what it was like for you to work that out, if there's any particular of all those scenes that are pretty much emotion everywhere, if there was one that was more meaningful or even more difficult to work out for you.
Yeah, I mean they were all really challenging, for their own reasons, and um, you know, I think that yeah, through that second episode, there's kind of like there's a couple of like firsts for Kenny, right? So he first gets back to town and finds out his mom's dead, and then he goes into the diner and he has his first moment of solitude where he can deal with his grief alone, and then Christy comes in, and then he has his first time hearing his mother's last words at the tunnel with Boyd, and then finally his first time actually seeing that she's dead.
Mhm.
And so the challenge was to first and foremost, obviously, like keep it as organic and real and honest as possible. And then the second was like um, dealing with that in real time and like firsthand, where I don't want it to feel like he's just so sad the whole time crying, because that's obviously what's going on. And so the challenge becomes, it's like for the scenes where it's like he is just completely broken down, like at the tunnel, for example, that part is hard. And then like when he's in front of everyone, like trying to contain it, that part is hard. It was just challenging the whole fucking way through.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's completely valid. Were you at all, how early did you find out that this was going to happen? Did you guys get scripts well in advance or?
Um, Not well in advance. We had this unique situation where because we postponed shooting to support the strikes, uh, we were shooting in December for like 2 weeks just to get what we could um, to catch up to our schedule. And then we went on break. We went on winter break. And then we came back in January. So I did have a little extra time than we normally would have for some of these scenes. But nothing like nothing like months in advance or anything like that.
So there wasn't any conversation. It was another one of these where you just kind of get the scripts for the season and go, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
kind of on the
yeah,
journey with the
exactly.
rest of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Was that so? I'm assuming that probably surprised you as much as it did the viewers that he was going to come home from this actually exciting moment and
Yeah, yeah,
ice cold water on him.
yeah. And the way that it was kind of written originally in one of the earliest drafts was that her death happens, and then it cuts to the scene. Like the next scene right after that is Kenny waking up in the morning, and Jim's like, "Look at all this food! Oh, we're gonna save the town!" And then Kenny smiles, and he's like, "Yeah." And then I think it's written in the description literally like, "And it's that smile that breaks our heart." And it's like, okay, yeah, yeah,
Because it is that smile
yeah,
that you uh,
yeah.
I think so. My other really big takeaway from all of this was he went away with Jim to make
Mhm.
sure that Jim's kids didn't wind up orphans.
Mhm. Yeah.
And he comes home, and that's basically what's happened to him. What can you tease about the rest of the season in terms of is Kenny going to hold any resentment of that? How's he going to cope with not just the loss, but just the particularly cruel timing?
I do think that I do think that despite some of the moments in season two where you might not think it, I do think that Kenny is a reasonable person with like pretty high EQ and and I think he understands the circumstances that everyone's been placed in, and that it's not really anybody's fault because he made the choice to go, um, and and Tian Chen told him not to go. And I think that maybe deep in his psyche, at some point, he had thought, maybe this is my chance to step up and be a hero. I could help the town. And so I think that on some level, more than any rage or anger or resentment towards anybody else in town, there's a little bit of this self-inflicted shame and like guilt that like, why did I think that this was worth it for any reason other than like I should have been here for my mom, you know? So
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That that's a tough journey to watch. I'm both looking forward to it and not, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But it looks like thank you for your time, and I will both look forward to it and not.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.